Welcome to UEOM Internet Church, October 18, 2024, Episode 23, the first four polyhedra of scenario universes non-simultaneous, partially overlapping events are 1. Tetrahedron, 2. Octahedron, 3. Face-triangulated Cube, 5. Vector Equilibrium and Icosahedron. The spherical vector equilibrium's alternate is the icosahedron. Number 1, 2, 3, 5 are the first four prime numbers. But the cube is not found in nature, so our synergetic comprehension does not rely on the cube as do education institutions that use a different coordinate system, the rectangular 90 degrees and the number pi. Besides, in quotes, all the cosmic triangling of all varieties of angles always averages out to 60 degrees, with the universe as the amorphous largest case, end quote. Therefore, the most relevant to our 21st century humanities metaphysically conceptualizing a more perfect union from what previously was less than a perfect union is the synergetic information we are learning about now. The probability of forming a more perfect union always follows the law of sphericity of a whole, WHOLE, system. The three-way gridding pattern integrity that seems to be of no relevance to the generations of humans on Earth, those of us who are proverbially stuck in all aspects of the relatively unaccountable, least economic, PRJWBCHM, politics, religion, justice, war, belief, complex, hierarchical matrix, a contextual parameter that can now be compared to synergetic structural integrity patterns, synergetic structural integrity patterns, and the newer acronym UIVMOFCH, Universe, Isotropic, Vector Matrix, Operational Field, Cosmic Hierarchy. In quotes, the isotropic vector matrix provides the actual and only systematic scheme of reference that agrees with all the experimentally disclosed behaviors of nature. Synergetics 1003.11. Synergetics' structural integrity is based on a 60-degree coordinate system from spheres and polyhedra with an intention to comprehend triangular grids, a conceptual network that metaphysical intellect, as a function of omni-rational universe, theoretically can associate awareness of gravity as a circumferential force that seems more economical than not doing so, since tension and compression is one of the almost and only coexisting complementarities which ordinarily is omitted from relevant self-governing applications that could incorporate general systems, self-inaugurated education with a developing understanding of the most economic ways systems can behave relative to unity and self in universe. Besides, since compression is time, perhaps tension is eternity. This possible explanation is excluded from synergetics' sections, but is listed in Synergetics Dictionary, The Mind of R. Buckminster Fuller, where I read, in quotes, compression is time, tension is eternity, end quote, in quotes, compression is higher frequency tension. From R. Buckminster Fuller, February 14, 1974. Obviously, not all of what Bucky was working on made it to the final Synergetics' publications, but nevertheless is worth giving some developing thought to it, especially concerning the omni-rational control matrices, spherical grid, three-way great circling, a three-way grid. Unlike Oxford University Press Dictionary and Thesaurus, definition of the word grid as a framework of spaced bars that are parallel to each other or cross each other, as well as a network of lines that cross each other to form a series of squares or rectangles. Our Buckminster Fuller synergetics grid basis is a multi-polygonality of great circles, a three-way grid, tensegrity, geodesic, that includes awareness of the great circles of the vector equilibrium. A prime number is divisible only by itself and the number 1. All the prime numbers are odd numbers with the exception of number 2, which is the only even prime number. Between 1 and 100, there are 25 prime numbers. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, 29, 31, 37, 41, 43, 47, 53, 59, 61, 67, 71, 73, 79, 83, 89, 97. It is a relief to realize that the first 4 primes, and not all 25 primes, which simplify the prospects of the process of thinking, cogitating reliably in respect of equilibrium pertaining to conceptualizing relevant energetic synergetic systems when forming a more perfect union as but one of many potential economic initiatives and applications of these geometries and topologies from synergetics. Synergetics is conceptual systems or omnitriangulated pattern integrities that require only 4 prime numbers and the tetrahedron, the octahedron, the icosahedron, which is the spherical vector equilibrium's alternate. We can familiarize our anticipatory awareness of this relationship at the earliest kindergarten education with a hands-on experience of the vector flexor jitterbug model that goes from vector equilibrium to the icosahedron to the octahedron to the tetrahedron. Synergetics is relevant prime structural systems, and their prime numbers provide a minimum number of polyhedra to conceptualize that coincide with newly acquired awareness of metaphysical generalized conceptioning and quantized physical case experiencing. Synergetic mind conceptually subdivides universe referentially to the only 3 possible omnitriangulated systems. Process suffices as a rudimentary conceptuality once informed of such potential, relative to consciously recognize that the minimum structural system of universe is the tetrahedron. There are only 3 possible cases of fundamental omnisymmetrical, omnitriangulated, least different structural systems in nature: the tetrahedron with 3 triangles at each vertex, the octahedron with 4 triangles at each vertex, the icosahedron with 5 triangles at each vertex. In superficially concocting commercial language models like AI's LLM, large language models, to dominate a market niche, they nevertheless can spread across the world, attracting enthusiastic innovators who further popularize the trend and in the process becomes a supposedly essential education strategy. AI, artificial intelligence, 3-dimensional LLMs make it too easy to overlook word inventions by the human imagination's consciousness evolution inspired from ancient history and more recently directly etymologically refer to a conceptuality of the proton, neutron, and other particles that can describe essential energy using mathematical models and vectorial geometry systems of universe that support life. When contemplating the general system grid, correlating to an absolute accommodation network of energy articulation is the word ecistics. The epistemological formulation of it derived from relevant Greek roots accrediting Dinos Doxiadis, who identified the scientific study of human settlement problems, weaving general systems grids deeply into anticipatory histories of human self-inaugurated education's ultimate success, considering total human survival initiatives. The word echeistics is not particularly a likable word. The experience of it is unappealing, which could explain no popularized use of it. Echeistics were the Greeks' most economical and humanity-considerate technological accommodation, notes R. Buckminster Fuller in Synergetics Dictionary, Echeistics, August 1972. It was before informed knowledge of inherently rationality, of omnidirectional epistemology, which we can explore in Synergetics 1001. If it is true that humans are designed with a brain circuitry and consciousness of synergetic mind to observe the environment within which our intelligently evolving species, humans of a mind, universe, eternal, omniscient mind, and as we can read in Synergetics 1001.10, that, in quotes, we do not and cannot live an experience in either a one-dimensional linear world nor a two-dimensional infinitely extended planar world, end quote. Then, awareness of dimensioning is integral to human nature's curiosity and relative environmental feedback, correlatively between varying degrees of playful experiment and critical proximity species survival. Visualizing a computer-produced video on a computer monitor or an elaborate movie production on a larger theater screen, the images are two-dimensional, some of which are derived from three-dimensional configurations by the innovative human imagination's ability to formulate conceptually. This experienced articulation and observation is different from omnidirectional system awareness when human imagination includes synergetic mind's metaphysical propensity to extrapolate written words and their perceived intention from a readable surface, and also to abstract, the verb abstract, the pattern integrity, which is to theoretically consider the concept's topology and geometry from the manifest form with a different intuited anticipatory design science application closer to the system's generalized law, its generalized principle. Such abstraction requires awareness of metaphysical generalized conception in fields of thought and physical environment, differentiating metaphysical intellect's intuition and the physical object within the interaccommodating, interrelating, local problem-solving consciousness evolution. In quotes, all local systems are conceptual, end quote. Synergetics 990.05. Regardless how superficially anyone's sense of self, other inter-attracting, inter-accommodating, interrelating events is evaluated and assessed, consciousness evolution, synergetic mind's potential comprehension is not less important, as any human's emulated personality substitutes irrational solutions when uninformed or inadequately informed. So if all local systems are conceptual relative to our 21st century humanity, self-other awareness, the accrediting metaphysical intellect, and physical brain as our individual unique inherent design, one of a kind, is the natural attribute of self-inaugurated education that requires the most reliable information, which derives in generalized principle from metaphysical, physical universes, synergetic, energetic, eternal, regenerating pattern integrity. The referential pattern integrities are multidimensional from 0 to 1, 2, 3, and to 4 and more dimensions within the synergetic mind's metaphysical generalized conceptioning fields of systemic thoughts, developing awareness of angles and frequencies. Most of us have no awareness of frequencies as it applies to essential systems and measuring our experiences. It is good to know that, in quotes, all the isotropic vector matrix identifications of experience are expressible in terms of angle and frequency, and that the angles are independent of size and absolutely generalized. In quotes, the isotropic vector matrix also discloses only whole WHOLE number increments of nature's and individual special case objectifications, end quote. The objectification often is only subjectively apprehended information. Subjecting humanity's natural emulating propensity to PRJW substitutions as an entertainment value, which reenacts the infinitely irresolute intertransactions, ignorantly omits, by default adaptation to the manifest forms, the metaphysical, conceptual, and discoverable universe's minimum structural systems, generalized conceptioning of closest packed spheres. Omni-closest packed spheres. Last night, I had a dream experience subsequent to learning of AI innovations. The message clearly showed the word bifurcating with an image. So I asked, what about a dream word bifurcating, accompanying a rectangular dotted vertical grid dividing the volume into upper empty half and the bottom half filled with a square? It was so vivid. Upon awakening, I wrote out the word bifurcating and drew an illustration of the image. The word bifurcating was not written, just communicated to my conscious mind's awareness of it. Disturbingly, the message suggests an erroneous configuration that does not consciously relate to spherical geometry's closest packing spheres, but nonetheless worked its way into a dream image subsequent to reading about AI-generated image controls. Suggested reading: Synergetics, Table of Contents, Synergetics 201.10, Accommodation of Proclivities, Phases, and Disciplines. Synergetics 450.01 through .06, Vector Equilibrium, Great Circles of. Synergetics 451, Vector Equilibrium, Axes of Symmetry and Points of Tangency in Closest Packing of Spheres. Synergetics 452, Vector Equilibrium, Great Circle Railroad Tracks of Energy. Synergetics 990.05, Triangular and Tetrahedral Accounting. Synergetics 1001 through 1003.11, Inherent Rationality of Omnidirectional Epistemology. Properties of prime numbers. See the link to Doodle Learning. Until next time, thank you from Christina, Universe Citizen.